Hi, this is Keerthivasan. Welcome to Sportstar. As you all know, in Indian table tennis, one of the best talents to have come in the last 3-4 years has been Sathiyan, and he has successfully taken the mantle from Achanta Sharat Kamal. His ranking has been consistently going up. His dream run continued in the ongoing Asian Table Tennis Championship, which is happening in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Sathiyan was instrumental in India winning the first division gold and finishing 5th in the Champions Division. And also he created a record of sorts by reaching the quarterfinals of the men's singles in the Asian Table Tennis Championship. Unfortunately, he lost to Lin Guan of China in the quarterfinals, but that hasn't diminished Sathiyan's popularity. He continues to remain India's brightest prospects going into the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. We caught up with the 25-year-old Indian before he headed to Indonesia.
First question to you. I mean, now you are now at 24 world ranking. So what does it take to be there? What has been the biggest challenges for you?
I mean, world ranking has been just the result of what process I've undergone. Of course, a lot of change has happened in my game. I was 400 in the world 6 years back, and now 24 is a huge jump there. So I really pressed on my physical fitness and more on the skills part, where I became very, very aggressive. I think that really shook all the opponents because I was a more controlled and defensive player, and becoming an aggressive player changed the entire perception.
In terms of technique, what are the tweaks you did? If you look at it in the last couple of years, any major tweak you did? No,
I would say major changes itself. I mean the strokes and all that remains the same.
Wholesale changes completely.
Yeah, huge.
Like
because obviously, like from 450, if he's in 24, obviously you would have gone
exactly what are
world
the
of
changes.
Yeah. So first thing foremost, we noticed that he would never get a service point. Like in tennis, we call it an ace. In table tennis, you force the opponent to an enforced error or a forced error, which you would never have. When he was coming to me, and I said, service point is one big component that you need to develop, because that's the only thing that is entirely at your control. So we worked a lot on different variety serves and different kind of spin variations, camouflaging into different serve, following it up with a different type of routine. So you're showing it to be a one serve, but then the serve comes out in a different form and color and shape. So we worked hugely on that. So he's able to command at will and take a lot of service points. His receiving was pretty ordinary. So we worked a lot on it because that's where the game begins. So we plugged a lot of hole on the service and receiving. And if you take the top Chinese or the top 15 players in the world, they're very strong in the service and receiving quotient. The game begins from there. And if you don't take advantage there, or if you give the advantage to the opponent, it's almost done that then the point is gone. Because at top level, there's no mercy. They'll just kill the ball.
Do you think the top 10 would be, that will be the most very difficult part, no? Because you were almost overpowered. There was a big difference I could feel. So is there a bigger challenge in terms of fitness or strokes, power? So how do you react to that?
Definitely in top 10, there has to be the top level, that is why they are in the top 10. I think, but this was the same case with top 50, I think, a couple of years back. So I think that is where we are growing, and there is always the next level, there is always, getting better, and that is what is the interesting part in the sport, and I am up for the challenge. There are different players, you don't see strong muscular players, everyone there, but there are like players like Koki, who's as puny as Harimoto, and
Koki is even shorter than him.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and skinnier than him.
So I think
table is a very, very finesse sport with a lot of skill, a lot of astute mind, sharp mind, quick reaction.
Yes, definitely there are different kind of players. So muscle is one of the factors, but it can be, not attributed as the only factor to be in the top 10. There is table tennis being the sport, which is more of a faster sport, and there's a lot of skill involved in the sport. So if we can crack that skill part, and what the top 10 level has, just being muscular, you can't be a top 10 player.
Scale of 1 to 10, how much importance you give to skills and fitness? Muscular.
But table tennis, definitely skills. I would rate skills much higher than.
I could take that, and we want players who are dexterous, who can adapt to different situations, different ball patterns, different type of spin and different, and in a very short time. So you're talking about a lot of algorithms and all of that, and figuring out in such quick time while the ball is in play. So it calls for a very different set of skill. There's a misnomer that table tennis involves muscles only, or muscles are predominant. No, muscles are important, it was only 5%.
You agree with that completely?
Definitely. I mean, I think.
And that's a research paper given on that.
My world ranking itself is testament to that. I think, and there are a lot of players I think who are not so strong and still at the top. So you do need basic fitness, and then you have to get better and better. Of course, when you compete at the highest level, you need the endurance, the speed to keep up with the top level, to not to get injured and things like this. But I think physical fitness is not the only aspect which takes you to the top in the sport. You do need to improve the physical fitness to compete with the top 10 and everything. But I think skills are a major part, and that is what will actually make you stay at the top level always.
Yeah, and of course, talking about fitness, he doesn't take fitness light. I mean, if you just box him on his stomach, you'll know how his stomach is strong. Doesn't look, but
I don't want to try.
There's pretty lot of sturdy,
Definitely, I think it was not the same case 6 years back. So we have worked, it doesn't look much muscular or something.
Is the team working on that, or your diet? I mean, you do, every meal is, you're very specific on the nutrients you take. Was it as
Yes, I think credit to Raman sir. I think he always was on the fact that coach is someone who's on the table, who's on the skills part, but every expert should do their part. He of course knows what fitness and everything to do, but he's always been like there has to be a team which is doing their job at the expert level.
What is his routine like? How many hours he puts in for fitness and for team?
Oh no, even when on playing days he takes at least two sessions or 3 sessions he takes for very heavy fitness. When there is no sessions at all.
Weight sessions.
Yeah, heavy cardio or weights. But those sessions, if he's taking in the morning, there's no table tennis in the morning. Then he goes back home, has a good nutrition, rest, and then comes for the evening sessions.
In terms of like tennis, and is it a good revenue for the players who lose in the round of 30 to round of 16? I mean, how motivating it is in terms of financial rewards?
I mean, far away from tennis or badminton, definitely. The motivation is only the tricolor, and that's the only thing which keeps us going. I mean, of course, to play for the country and to have that Olympic dream or to win, play in Asian Games. I think that is what the world ranking, is the sole criteria where every seeding and everything is decided. So you should have a good run in Pro Tours and ITTF Tours so that you play the top level tournaments. Definitely ITTF is improving. I mean, there has been improvement in the last few years, but a very long way to go in that part of it, because the players have been spending a lot. They have been made to spend a lot because we are going to play Pro Tours. So if you have a world ranking, you have to have play a lot of Pro Tours, and Pro Tours don't come at free. So you have to fend yourselves and play. But the support has been good for the top players. But on a whole, you see in the world with a lot of European players, everyone have been finding it very difficult to play tournaments back to back, and it has been really physically demanding and financially also very very difficult for them to spend. And yes, but I think this is very good for the sport. You could see different people coming up who are actually performing. That the old system was very not so much, was very static. Like people who have done well in the past.
Protective system.
Very protective system who were done well in the past.
Once you reach a level, you can just maintain and hide out, not play tournament and still protect your ranking. So you will not rub against Chinese every now and then. But now this system exposes every Chinese, every artistic player gets exposed. He has to play. If he doesn't play, he loses his ranking. So it gives more opportunities for a growing player.
That Chinese supremacy is coming down. We had a non-Chinese for the first time in 17 years in a World Championship final, and world number 1 was not the Chinese for a few months. So these things will happen more, and you can see the Chinese are getting exposed because they are made to play again and again, face us more often.
Lighter note, I think you hated engineering. So how difficult was it to finish education and balance playing and pursuing education? So was it so difficult? Because during your time, at that time, Ghosh was Olympian, so that must have hurt you a lot.
Yes.
How was it for you?
I mean, that was the most difficult phase of my life. Definitely, handling my parents, handling the college director, handling Raman sir. I mean, so it was a triangle, and everyone were pushing in their agenda. So I was the center, and he was pushing in the table tennis front, of course, which was the future. And parents were, balancing between, and they were always like, why can't you balance stuff? And director was more of, how are we going to study and stuff like this. So it was a very big challenge. I don't blame them. Of course, that was the situation at that point of time. I mean, coming from a very middle class academic driven background, it was very difficult for me to convince at that point of time. and they went with a call that which is okay, we have to be safe and secure, because that was applied being an India number 1 in junior, and still they're not sure if I can make a career in the sport. So but things have changed drastically in the last few years, and I would not suggest anyone definitely going into that. Don't take me wrong, but that is if you want to really be at the top in some field, be it engineering, if you want to do it engineering, and you have to be a full-time engineer, if you're really passionate about it, you have to go in that.
Yeah, tell us about the path to Olympics. How difficult is it to qualify and then think of winning a medal when you go through the process?
We're very close. I think the qualification with my world ranking and the way I'm playing, it should be a done thing. I think we are not looking at qualifying, definitely. We're looking at winning an Olympic medal. So we are, in a top, already, has rubbing shoulders with the top 10. So definitely winning an Olympic medal is going to be a very tough task. There is going to be a lot of top players, there's been a lot of competition, but I think with the past performance, when I go into most of the big tournaments, I always thought it's going to be a tough task. But I think we have been playing really well, and I've been winning medals in those tough tournaments and competing with the top players. I never imagined I could win an Asian Games medal. I never thought I could, be number 6 in Asia and qualify for the World Cup. So there was always thoughts like if I could do it. But then I think the performance has shown it. And when I go into a tournament, I think I just try to get out of these thoughts and I go and play as it. So I think that is what I should be doing in the future as well. So we're looking at improving the process, definitely, which is going to take me further in the world ranking places. The qualifications will start from Jan, which we have a first team qualification. So the top 16 teams qualify, which is going to be really tough because all the 3 players in the country has to come up really well and come play together and qualify as a team. So we do have a good chance, but it's going to be tough. If we don't qualify as a team, then we go as a single, in the singles event through the qualifications and of course through the world ranking. So then you have 64 players in the Olympics, and I think the way I'm playing, and we're looking at definitely winning a historic medal there.
And talk about the third player, the big difference. So will that be a major impediment in the team event, qualifying for the team? How do you look at it?
Definitely, I think me and Sharad have been really doing well in the international arena, but the third player is going to play a very important role in our qualifications, because with the team format which is there, all the 3 players have to be really strong. So that is when we are going to compete with the top nations, which have very good 3, and even the bench strength is really good for them. So I think that is going to be a tough task for us, but I think we're up for it, and we're going to play the top nations, and I hope we can really up the level and qualify for the Olympics.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Sathiyan Raman, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.